Richmond Park gives Utahraptor something modern London rarely offers: wide open hunting ground. Grass rolls between ancient oaks, red and fallow deer move across the slopes, and patches of bracken break the view. At about 5.5 meters long, this was no light movie raptor. Its stocky build suits a sudden rush from cover better than a long chase. The deer notice movement quickly, so the hunter must use bracken, slopes, and tree shadows to close the distance. A large curved claw on each second toe could help pin struggling prey, while its jaws delivered repeated bites. Yet a full-grown red stag is powerful, alert, and armed with antlers. One failed charge could end badly. The prey can fight back. Richmond's grassland creates another problem. There is nowhere to disappear once the chase begins. The heavier Utahraptor was probably slower and less agile than its smaller relatives. Deer can scatter over roads, through fenced plantations, or around pen ponds, leaving the dinosaur exposed to cyclists, vehicles, and hundreds of watchful eyes all around. It might survive by hunting at woodland edges and choosing young or weakened animals, instead of challenging the strongest stags. The park has water, shelter, and possible prey, but not endless room or food. Richmond could support one careful ambush hunter for a while. It would punish any Utahraptor that mistook size for speed. Baryonyx in London Bridge and the Pool of London. The Pool of London would place Baryonyx in one of the very busiest stretches of water in Britain. London Bridge rises upstream. Tower Bridge stands far to the east, and the tidal Thames moves around piers, walls, ferries, and HMS Belfast. The dinosaur came from early Cretaceous England, but this crowded river would be unlike any floodplain it knew. Its long, crocodile-like snout is useful here. Pointed teeth can hold fish that twist in the current, and the heavy claw on each hand may help control prey near the bank. Baryonyx was not limited to fish, yet the Thames offers the clearest meal: mullet, eels, and other animals moving along walls, piers, and shadowed bridge supports. It must strike. The river controls every approach. At low tide, broad mud banks appear beside stone embankments. Later, the water climbs and covers them again. A heavy hunter stepping down for an easy catch could lose its exit as the tide rises behind it. Propellers, chains, floating rubbish, and sudden wakes turn familiar water into a field of moving hazards. Tides can trap. Baryonyx might thrive by wading near calm inlets and feeding when the tide carries fish toward narrow spaces. It would struggle in the strongest current and draw attention the moment its back crossed the surface. The Pool of London could feed this British dinosaur, but never hide it. Between two famous bridges, every hunt would become public. Therizinosaurus in Kew Gardens, London. Kew Gardens may be the richest feeding ground a Therizinosaurus could find in modern London. Broad lawns lead into an arboretum filled with temperate trees, bamboo, lakes, and carefully planted borders. At roughly 10 meters long, the dinosaur could freely browse above ordinary grazers, while its long neck reached branches protected from people below. The enormous hand claws look dangerous, but feeding may be their most useful job. Each curved bone reached about 1/2 meter, before its outer covering was added. The animal could hook leafy branches and draw them toward its small head, stripping shrubs without lowering its heavy body. Bamboo bends. Young trees may snap beneath the pull. Claws pull in. Plenty does not mean safety. Q grows plants from many climates, and a Cretaceous browser would have no way to recognize unfamiliar toxins, thorns, or waxy leaves. Glasshouses add another temptation. Warmth and dense tropical growth behind shining walls. One push from the dinosaur's chest or claws could turn a shelter into falling glass. Plants differ. Therizinosaurus could find more plant food here than almost anywhere else in London, yet it would damage its supply faster than it could learn the garden. Q might keep the giant fed for days. Gallimimus in Heathrow Airport, London. Heathrow's airfield looks perfect for Gallimimus until the machines begin to move. Long runways cut across flat grass. Service roads circle the terminals, and open ground stretches farther than in most of London. Around 6 meters long, with powerful legs and a stiff tail for balance. The dinosaur has room to use the speed that kept it alive. A jet approaches with noise unlike any predator. The Gallimimus bolts, perhaps reaching around 50 kilometers per hour, but painted markings and smooth pavement give it no natural guide. Its wide turns carry it from grass to taxiway, while service vehicles approach from several directions. Speed creates distance, yet it does not reveal one safe path. Food is the smaller problem. Gallimimus was probably an omnivore, able to take plants and small animals when available. In the quieter airfield grass, it might find seeds, insects, or nesting birds, but fences divide every patch. Drainage channels and security roads interrupt the open ground, forcing the runner toward gates that were never built for wildlife. Heathrow offers the space Gallimimus needs, but fills that space with machines moving by strict signals the animal cannot read. It may still outrun a vehicle for a moment, then meet another barrier ahead. Survival would depend on reaching the outer perimeter grass before traffic closes around it. The airport rewards speed only when the runner knows where to go. Deinonychus in Epping Forest, London. Epping Forest is one of the few places in London where Deinonychus can disappear at once. Ancient hornbeams, beeches, and oaks divide the light, while bracken closes around ponds and old paths. Smaller and lighter than Utah raptor, this feathered hunter could pass between trunks that would stop a giant dinosaur and use the woodland as cover. It moves beside a pond, placing each foot between roots and fallen branches. The raised second toe keeps its curved claw clear of the ground until it is needed to grip prey. Rabbits, ground-feeding birds, and young deer might draw its attention, but the thick woodland allows only brief attacks. A missed leap ends against bark, mud, or thorns. It must turn. The same cover that helps the hunter also hides danger. Epping Forest is crossed by roads, riding routes, dog walkers, and open grassland plains where the dinosaur suddenly loses concealment. Ponds and streams offer water, yet soft banks record every track. Before long, people could follow the trail of feathers, prints, and disturbed leaves. signs remain. Deinonychus would do better here than most large dinosaurs, not because the forest is untouched, but because it is broken into many small hunting spaces. It could rest in dense woodland and move at quiet hours. Still, prey would learn its routes, and every road would divide its range. Epping could hide the animal, but never give it true wilderness. Ankylosaurus in the Barbican Estate, London. The Barbican turns Ankylosaurus into a problem of shape rather than hunger. Concrete towers rise around a still lake, while raised walkways, stairs, courtyards, and narrow passages divide the estate into levels. At about 8 meters long and built close to the ground, the armored herbivore can enter the complex, but almost nothing lets it move freely. Low planting beside the water gives it something to crop with its beak and small teeth. Lawns, shrubs, and reeds would be easier to reach than branches, yet the supply is limited for an animal weighing several tons. Its broad body presses against walls and planters, while steps and ramps force careful turns its heavy frame was never designed to make. The armor protects its back from falling debris and close contact with concrete, but the tail club creates a far wider danger zone. A defensive swing in a tight courtyard could strike railings, glass, or stone before any threat came near. Ankylosaurus would not attack the estate on purpose. Its normal attempt to turn or defend itself causes the damage. Water and shade might keep it comfortable for a short time, but the Barbican is an island of hard surfaces with no grazing land beyond its gardens. The dinosaur could hold one plaza because nothing could push it out. Thriving would be different. Surrounded by roots it cannot climb, and food it cannot replace. Spinosaurus in London Wetland Centre, London. The London Wetland Centre offers Spinosaurus water, but not the endless river system its body seems to promise. Across 44 hectares, lakes, ponds, reed beds, wet grassland, and flooded meadow sit inside the reserve. The giant can wade between habitats, yet each pool ends quickly at a path, fence, or bank, built for animals far smaller than itself. Reeds give the hunter cover until its tall sail rises above them. Its narrow jaws and smooth cone-shaped teeth could grip fish near the surface, while the low shoreline allows patient strikes from shallow water. Frogs and nearby water birds would scatter at once, but chasing them would waste more energy than they could ever return to an animal this large. The reserve's water levels are controlled for wildlife. A Spinosaurus crossing a reed bed would crush nesting cover, open channels through soft mud, and empty small pools faster than nature could refill them. Even a successful hunter would damage the habitat that feeds it. The wetland might look rich, but its food is spread across a very limited space. Spinosaurus could safely rest, cool itself, and hunt more naturally here than in most of London. It still would not thrive for long. The main lake is not a wild African river, and the reserve cannot replace fish at the rate a 14-meter predator would demand. The wetland center would offer a convincing refuge, then reveal itself as a beautiful cage. Parasaurolophus in Westminster and St. James's Park, London. Westminster gives Parasaurolophus broad open lawns, ornamental trees, and a lake, but places them inside the most watched part of London. Buckingham Palace stands beside St. James's Park. Parliament lies beyond Whitehall, and ceremonial roads cut through the greenery. The duck-billed herbivore finds food and water, while large crowds gather on every side. Its beak could nip low plants, while batteries of cheek teeth handled tougher vegetation farther back in the mouth. Parasaurolophus probably walked mainly on 4 legs, but could rise onto 2, allowing it to reach higher leaves. The flower beds and young branches would disappear quickly, though clipped lawns alone could not support such a large browser. The long crest changes how London experiences the animal. Hollow passages inside it may have helped produce deep calls for contact or recognition. Against bells, engines, and voices, that sound could travel across the lake and between government buildings. Pelicans would leave their rocks when a note meant for another of its kind rolled across the park. St. James's Park offers calm ground but no safe edge. Gates, bridges, roads, and dense crowds would block every retreat, while the lake is too small to divide the animal from danger. Parasaurolophus might remain calm if given space, yet Westminster never stays quiet. It could feed there briefly, but the capital's attention would make settling impossible. Iguanodon in Wimbledon Common, London. Wimbledon Common gives Iguanodon a landscape with the remarkable British connection. Fossils of this dinosaur helped shape the earliest study of dinosaurs, and remains are known from England. Here, heathland, acid grass, woodland, ponds, streams, and boggy hollows form a patchwork. This animal does not enter one habitat. It crosses several within minutes. Iguanodon could walk on 2 or 4 legs, changing posture as the ground changed. On open heath it might move upright to see above gorse, then drop to all 4s while feeding among low shrubs. Its beak clipped plants, and cheek teeth process tougher mouthfuls. Poor acidic soil limits lush growth, so each useful patch would matter to a large herbivore. The common's wet ground creates the sharper test. One dark patch of bog may look like grass until several tons press down on it. Broad feet spread its weight, but mud around ponds and streams could still slow the dinosaur. Its thumb spikes, probably used for defense, offer no help when the danger is beneath its body rather than approaching from ahead. Woodland edges provide shade and richer leaves, while the open plain gives room to turn and watch for trouble. Iguanodon might do quite well by moving between them and avoiding the deepest mires. Food would be scattered, yet the varied landscape allows choices. Of London's 10 arrivals, this British plant eater may come closest to finding a stable home. Carnotaurus in Canary Wharf and the West India Docks, London. Canary Wharf gives Carnotaurus long sightlines without true open country. Glass towers stand above the older West India Docks, and broad plazas narrow into footbridges, quays, roads, and passages between buildings. The horned predator can see far ahead, but water cuts the district into blocks. Every promising route ends at a wall, railing, or dock edge. Carnotaurus had a short, broad skull, horns above the eyes, and arms so reduced they offered little help. Its hind limbs suggest an animal suited to quick forward movement, rather than careful climbing. A straight plaza could invite a sudden charge, yet polished paving, steps, and sharp corners would punish any rush that began before the route was clear. The docks create the greatest trap. Their enclosed water looks calm at first beside the tidal Thames, but high quay walls offer few places for a large theropod to climb out. Chasing pigeons or people toward the edge would gain almost no food and risk a fall. Reflections in dark glass might also bring this animal face to face with its own horned outline. Carnotaurus could dominate an empty square through speed and fear, but Canary Wharf would not provide the big prey needed to keep it there. Crowds vanish into towers, while bridges direct movement into narrow lanes. The district rewards planning more than acceleration.
If you enjoyed this video, please click the like button.
And don't forget to subscribe to this channel.
See you in the next one.